Are we buying Myles Garrett here that Mason Rudolph provoked this with a racial slur? I certainly am not buying it. I'm disappointed that Myles Garrett has gone this route. It doesn't surprise me. There was a ESPN reporter, Josina Anderson, who started this on Twitter the night that it happened, almost instantly, saying, I would guarantee that Myles Garrett's going to say that a racial slur was used. And voila, here we are a week later, and Josina Anderson is reporting that Myles Garrett at his deal used a racial slur. This is the new standard for bad behavior. You do something wrong, you don't own it, you play the race card. Myles Garrett is a joke to me, and this story is a joke to me. I just don't buy it.
I'm buying it, and I'm paying all cash, no credit card, no layaway. Josina Anderson and Adam Schefter reported this in case we want to narrow that focus just on Josina and her initial reactions, Adam Schefter as well. Now, the reports makes you look at this situation only two ways. Do you believe Myles Garrett, or do you believe what everything else is about this situation outside of what Myles Garrett is implying, what he's actually stating? And I will believe Myles Garrett because I don't have a reason not to believe Myles Garrett, but I have more than enough reasons to not believe in Mason Rudolph. Starting with one, yesterday in his scripted 6 days later press conference that didn't show full contrition, that he actually went out there and, quote, said, I didn't escalate the situation. Oh, my eyes are lying. My eyes deceive me. Two, watching the film of the exact moment that all of this started, he's never taken full responsibility for any of those actions. But he has certainly allowed himself to take all of the response of his victimhood once he got hit. Now, he was not slammed to the turf. His head hit the turf.
How does any of this say he used a racial slur?
Huh?
How does any of what you're saying say he used a racial slur?
Now, none of us has been at the bottom of a pile when this has happened.
I have.
No. In this situation, let me say, in this situation, we weren't in the bottom of this pile.
Well,
but we've been in the bottom of the pile.
Right. We've been in
the bottom of the pile before. Now, I've never been in the bottom of the pile where I heard racial slurs.
Wow.
But I have been at the bottom of the pile where I'm going to be what Mason Rudolph should be. I have hit people in a manhood.
Yep.
I have grabbed guts and torn and twisted them to hopefully blood.
Yep.
I have stepped on fingers, and it was just the third game of the year and second down. So in these situations, it's easy to sit up here in this emotional context and say what didn't happen, what did happen. But in that situation, from what I've seen, using Mason Rudolph as the narrator versus Myles Garrett as the narrator, my eyes have aligned with more of Myles Garrett's thought process than Mason Rudolph's. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's complex in the sense that I have heard racial slurs.
We all have.
Right, during the course of games. I buy that it's possible it could have happened based off of Mason Rudolph's anger and rage in the moment. And just taking Myles Garrett out of it and his credibility out of it, I'm looking at how Mason Rudolph conducted himself during the course of the entire exchange. And for me, things that I've experienced, this is what confuses me a little bit. When I've heard racial slurs, and believe me, it goes both ways. Like, it's not a white to black thing. It goes both ways. I've always seen it in the heat of the game. You're trying to get a competitive edge. Can you get in their head? Can you get them off their square? But to me, in this situation, the game is over. The game is over, and you clearly see an enraged
Let me
player.
ask you something. When you play football, particularly in the NFL, who's more likely to use the N-word on a football field?
Well, we all know that.
Oh, black.
No.
But the N-word
we don't all know that.
With the ER.
And so in this crowded stadium, in a pile, he heard ER and knew that it was a white guy.
Hold on, man. Don't act like we can't hear the play. We can't hear our signals. We can hear a lot
I'm talking about in this stadium, he's doing the sack of the quarterback.
You can still hear.
And they grabbing each other by the...
You certainly can
still
hear
hear.
And so there was other people around
that were also...
And not one black player reacted like they heard the ER.
He was the only black player present.
What is Marquise Pouncey?
Marquise came after.
Later.
Marquise came
Come on,
after.
man. Stay in the moment now.
Marquise came after. But here, again, what I'm trying to understand is...
Hey, we can't make excuses every freaking time somebody does something
Why are you
inappropriate.
connecting this to every other occasion?
Because that's all this is.
No, that's not.
The man that night sitting on the sidelines, post-game press conference, had every opportunity to say, the guy called me the N-word. The Cleveland Browns organization got involved, I'm sure, in questioning him. The Haslam family puts out a statement basically apologizing to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they thought this guy had been called the N-word by the Steelers player, no way the ownership does that.
They still have to issue an apology.
They still have not to the Steelers.
All right, so here's what I would say, using your own context or your own words against you. 6 days later, Mason Rudolph apologizes. Mm-hmm. If a racial slur is thrown at you and this fight breaks out,
right.
I don't know any guy who isn't going to stand on a podium and say, hey, my actions were inexplicable. My actions were inexcusable. But this dude threw a racial slur at me. And not only that, I believe you issued a written apology to him. Mm-hmm. And now 7 days later or 6 days later, now all of a sudden there was a racial slur. You've never mentioned it before?
Yeah.
I find that
incredible.
No,
you only find that incredible because now you're weighing the situation currently, but not weighing it the night of the game. Think about this. This all occurs in the moment. No one knows the full magnitude of this.
Sure.
Right? So, therefore, you don't give the full version. You're like, I did more wrong than him, so guess what? Let me just try to extinguish this by putting out a blanket statement, sincere or not. Then all of a sudden you see it avalanche. You see it snowball. And you know what you say? Oh, well, if he's going to go full disclosure, or at least the weight of the public is going to be all on me, let me tell my entire version. Who knows if he was told that night from his team, his lawyers, hey, let's see if this all goes away.
So only justify your action after the weight of the story. I've been called an N-word on the football field in a college football game.
Sure.
I pointed over to the guy's teammates, defensive teammates, 8 of them black, one of them a friend of mine named Rudy Taylor. It's, wow, y'all letting this dude do this? Is this out of pocket at Northern Illinois University? This has happened in 1987. After the game, I went over to Rudy Taylor and his players by their bus. It was like, wow, y'all let this happen? I went to my offensive line coach who coached at Northern Illinois and was friends with coaches on that other staff. I was like, man, Northern Illinois, they just out of pocket. This cat caught all game, blah, blah, blah. I'm not waiting. And Myles Garrett, with the weight of the world following, you just don't, you know what, I'm going to wait till next week to tell that this is garbage.
But there are other sides to that story.
Right.
I mean, I was a part of a situation where in a basketball game, we were playing an inner city school, Duquesne High.
Yep.
And they brought in a dude designated to get me out of the game by hacking me. He's hacking me the whole entire game. We get to the point, we win the game. The point is, I'm at the free throw line. He calls me the N-word.
Yep.
Very, very insulting. The game is over. He plays for an all-black team.
Yep.
Calls me the N-word again. I punched him in his face.
Yep.
I get suspended. I reacted. Did not justify my actions, which Myles Garrett's not justified in his actions. But can it happen? Yes, it can happen.
Did you tell the coaches or anybody else that he called you the N-word? Or did you wait for a week?
To be honest with you, I don't even remember.
You waited a month.
No, I didn't wait.
So now it's the first time you told the story.
I wasn't getting interviewed.
No, what he did was wait for the appropriate context and the
right after the game.
They were going to shoot us. They were waiting to shoot us.
Let me just say this.
We had to get up out of there.
Let me say this, too, about Myles Garrett, because, again, when this happened last week, the first thing I did was start trying to just gather information. Who is Myles Garrett? Where did Myles Garrett? He's a nerdier dude that's not really doesn't really fit into the stereotypical black thing. And I'm just sorry. That's where this comes from. I'm sick and tired of the Jussie Smolletts, the Colin Kaepernicks, the Myles Garretts, the guys working out their identity issues through racial race carding, and everybody. Oh my God! Mason Rudolph said we're in MAGA country, and I slammed my helmet on him. It's garbage. It's BS. We know damn well in the middle of this football game, at the end of this NFL quarterback. Now tell me, if this was some defensive lineman, I would halfway believe it. But a damn quarterback?
If they said he was trying to rip his helmet off, not tug his helmet off. If they said the quarterback was trying to rip, would you believe
ground there. You were on much firmer. But trust me, that's part of the BS too.
Well, you know what?
Because again, we try to justify every damn thing.
And what you're trying to do is
slamming the guy over the head is unjustified.
Hold on, your stereotypes are improperly labeled. So let's say this. Doesn't matter what position you play. If you got a racial slur in you, you got a racial slur in you. Two, the same Mason Rudolph who said, let the world talk for him and said, I didn't escalate this. I got still pictures showing me that. You sure you didn't? First of all, everyone's saying that Mason Rudolph was slammed to the turf. Last time I checked, if you
Marcellus, this is part of the problem.
No, this is part of the solution because you're going to give me an actor who is on his contract year with a show that's going off and say Jussie Smollett is this. This is not the same. This is not analogous. This is a guy who told me he was slammed to the turf, but last time I checked, you're the one on top. Now, this is a guy who at the top left window who says my hand was stuck under the helmet. The world says.
This isn't a Zapruder film situation.
I see a quarterback card. How is that stuck if the quarterback card is out? I'm saying is Myles Garrett has not said anything to me that I can show in evidence that is a lie. But Mason Rudolph has. So when you ask me, when I don't know, who do I believe? The one who hasn't lied to me just yet.
Well, the picture of him on top is after they hit the ground. And then they rolled over. I mean, you can't put a still frame up there.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why Myles
Garrett. They hit the ground that way.
I'm going to tell you why Myles Garrett's doing this. Because he knows he's got a bunch of people that will sell this BS. That's exactly because it started when we tried to justify him slamming the guy over the helmet with, the quarterback tried to rip his helmet off, and therefore the only reaction is to slam his helmet atop him. It's garbage.
Whitlock, has anyone ever used a racial slur and actually you just didn't question it? Like in this situation, like is there a possibility in your head?
I just told you a story of what happened to me.
Right, and you were not in this context. So in this context, could you imagine a scenario where Mason Rudolph actually used it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you the scenario. The scenario where I would believe it is if after the game, Myles Garrett has stood up in front of everybody and said, damn, this dude called me a name. 7 days later, are you kidding me?
I don't think you believe it. No. I don't think you believe it if Myles Garrett stood up.
He said something was said at the press conference.
It would have more credibility. But to me, would I believe it? Yes, the N-word gets used on the football field.
To me, the focal is on Myles Garrett, and it should be on Mason Rudolph. I'm not trying to justify or legitimize Myles Garrett's play.
Hey, LaVar,
I'm looking at Mason Rudolph and his actions in the moment. What's he capable of doing?
Just understand what you just argued.
Yes, all right.
That the focus shouldn't be on the person who got hit over the head with a helmet. It should be on the person that threw the helmet. It should be on the person that got hit on the head with the helmet. That's where the focus. Let's attack the victim. And again, I get why Myles Garrett is doing it. He got hit over the head with a helmet, LaVar.
He was victimized
in that
moment.
Didn't he say something happened, something was said after the game?
No, he
inferred it.
He inferred it.
So hold on, and then now you are now been told by multiple PR people, including your team, you're going to have the appropriate setting to tell your story. And now you're going to hold that against him?
Was he enraged? Was Mason Rudolph enraged long before he got hit in the head? Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
Was he enraged?
Sure.
Okay. Was he enraged?
Sure.
So to me, why are we not focusing in on the fact if somebody is enraged, is it possible that you could say something out of character while you're enraged? I don't think that's justifying anything.
Okay.
Right.
I'll give it to you. He might say something.
And that does not justify Myles Garrett.
Right. So who's enraged now? Who's facing a 1-year potential suspension? Who's looking at $1 million out of their pocket down the line? Who's enraged now, and who's capable of lying and escalating the situation now? Mason Rudolph's going to pay a fine, and he's done. No, I'm holding to the same standards you holding Mason Rudolph to.
Okay.
Mason Rudolph, he was enraged, and he must have said this.
He said this in a private setting.
And so now Myles Garrett is enraged, facing a year suspension, potentially
I don't
longer.
think he's enraged.
But you know
he's
what?
Scared. He's
scared.
I don't
probably
think
scared.
either one of you
Maybe
know.
he's not scared.
This was said in an appeal hearing in a private setting. Now, if you guys want to leak this and get this out there, fine. But I'm going to have less than a 2-hour window in a private setting, supposed to be confidential, and I'm going to tell you exactly
Well, who do you
how
think
to do it.
leaked it?
Hold on. Adam Schefter?
Stop it.
His name's
You don't have
on
to play
it. Or you
silly.
want to just go
Josina Anderson
and Adam
started
Schefter.
it first.
I started
Before
it.
the damn
I'm the
game
first
was
one
over.
on record talking about y'all better look at Mason Rudolph. I ain't leaked Jack.
Have you guys
It's
ever
Adam
been-
Schefter.
have you guys ever been on a
Marcellus.
field and been
Whoa, Marcellus.
Yes.
Josina Anderson instantly said this while the game was barely over. That I guarantee you, someone said something racial,
Hey, that's
and
called
now
She didn't say racial. I'm just saying.
egregious. She said something.
That's not racial. He also said the B word. We caught him on camera with the B word already. Y'all want to go down that lane, Mason Rudolph going B word to Obugu, whatever. You don't want to go there, huh? We saw that. Are we going to argue that way?
I can't. No, I'm not going to
Okay,
argue.
then.
because,
So
again,
if he
I
went
use the
B word, he
way
can't go
too
another
much to be sitting here like, oh my God, I'm shocked and enraged that he
I'm
used
just
the B
saying,
word.
my eyes have showed me a lot of contradictions in Mason's testimony such far. And guess what? I also got you on camera saying the B word, and you trying to say it's out of the realm of possibility.
I would
he could say
I
something
would
else.
just say this. Like,
Come on, man.
it's not okay to use a racial slur. As you mentioned,
But they happen.
It happens, right?
Yeah, they happen.
But there's a far cry between somebody using a racial slur and somebody having a helmet in his hand and taking a hack at somebody's head.
Agreed.
Very true.
Okay.
Agreed.
One does
no
not
argument.
justify the
Right.
other.
Still doesn't mean you didn't say the slur. That's all I'm saying. I'm buying Myles Garrett here. That's all I got.
Doesn't justify Myles Garrett.
No.
That's not justify
But I'm buying
Myles
that he.
Garrett.
So, I mean, to me, regardless of what happened,
He still should
precipitate
be
it all,
judged based off of what he did.
based on the action.
That's correct.
And the action is inappropriate and
But
will
he's
never be
not
appropriate.
trying to be judged on that because he's got people willing to sell this BS.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.